Alright, so today we're going to pull back the curtain on what a real digital heist looks like. A lot of people think hacking is just about breaking in, but the real art, and honestly where the real damage happens, is what comes after. We're going to see how an attacker can take one little unlocked door and turn it into the keys to the entire building. So, picture this. You've done it. You're in. You got past the firewalls, the first line of defense. But now what? This is that critical moment. This is where a simple little intrusion can spiral into a full-blown catastrophic breach. It's not so much about how you got in, it's all about what you do next. And this is what you're often looking at first, a vulnerability scan report. I mean, look at this thing. It's got over 87 results, 19 of them are critical, dozens are high or medium. It's just this sea of data, it's overwhelming. So your first job isn't to just start attacking everything in sight. No, it's to dig through all this noise and find that one single perfect entry point, the one loose thread you can start to pull on. Okay, so this is where our digital heist truly begins. This first phase is all about picking the right target. You have to be smart about it, strategic. You're looking for the path of least resistance, sure, but one that gives you the biggest possible reward. And look at this. See how we zoom in? Out of that whole messy list, we isolate just one, a manage engine vulnerability. So why this one? Well, for starters, it has a perfect severity score of 10, a 10, and a 99% detection quality. This isn't just some little crack in the wall. This is a massive, wide-open door. That's our target. So, by hitting that one vulnerability, we get what's called initial access. But let's be super clear here. We haven't robbed the bank yet, not even close. All we've done is find an unlocked window on, say, the 30th floor of a skyscraper. Or inside the building, yeah, but the real work is just getting started. But here's the thing, just getting in, that's temporary. It's fragile. You could get spotted and kicked out in seconds. So, the next absolutely crucial step is to turn that flimsy access into a stable base of operations. You need to establish a foothold inside their network. And that brings us to this idea of a foothold. This isn't just about keeping a connection alive. It's about creating a persistent, reliable presence. Think of it like installing your own permanent backdoor that stays open. It lets you come and go whenever you want, and more importantly, it's the launch pad for everything you're going to do next, from inside their own walls. With our foothold secure, we get to the really cool part. This is the core technique of the whole operation. It's what separates the amateurs from the pros. It's called pivoting. And it is how you turn one compromised computer into a key that unlocks the entire kingdom. So, what's the difference between just moving around and pivoting? Well, think of it this way. Lateral movement is kind of predictable. It's like moving from one cubicle to the next on the same floor of an office. But pivoting is a game changer. That's like finding a master keycard in one of those cubicles that unlocks a door to a completely new, totally restricted wing of the building. It gives you a whole new view of everything. And this right here shows you just how powerful that is. From the outside, the only thing we could see was one single server in what's called a DMZ. It's kind of like a digital lobby. But by breaking into that one server and then pivoting, bam, we can suddenly see past the internal firewall. A whole private network, one that was completely invisible from the outside, is now laid out right in front of us. We've basically just unlocked a secret level of the game. But what's even in here? You can't just start running around blind, right? The next move is careful reconnaissance from our new vantage point. This phase is called enumeration, and it's all about mapping out this new territory. Put simply, enumeration is just intelligence gathering. It's a systematic way of finding all the users, all the permissions, all the computers, and all the valuable data in this new network we've just found. We're basically sifting through this mountain of new information to find our next high-value target. So, what are we hunting for? Well, first, it's all about people. We're looking for user accounts, trying to figure out who's an admin, who's got powerful roles. For instance, we might peek into a system file like /etc/password on a Linux box to get a list of every single user. Each name is another potential avenue for the next step of the attack. Next, we map the hierarchy. We need to understand who can access what. So we start listing out all the groups, especially in a corporate network that uses Active Directory. This basically builds us an organizational chart of power. It tells us who the domain admins are, who works in finance, who has access to the sensitive HR files. This map shows us where all the power is. And now, we go hunting for the keys to the kingdom. The credentials themselves. We're looking for stored passwords, password hashes, access tokens, anything we can find. A really common technique is to just dump credentials straight from a computer's memory, like from a core Windows process called LSAS. You know, grabbing these is like finding the janitor's master keyring just lying on a desk. And all of this whole process, it all leads to the ultimate prize. The entire reason for the operation in the first place. Finding the sensitive data. This could be anything. Customer information, financial records, secret company plans. This is the treasure we came for. Okay, so we've pivoted, and we've located the goods, but the job is not done. A truly successful heist needs one last critical phase. Getting out without anyone ever knowing you were there. It's time to become a ghost. First things first, you have to clean up your tools. You can't just leave your crowbar at the crime scene, right? Attackers use all sorts of tricks, like packers and encoders, to disguise their malicious software, or even inject their code into perfectly legitimate programs that are already running, to just blend in. Next, you edit the security tapes. Now, an amateur might just delete the log files completely, but that's really noisy. It's a huge red flag for any system administrator. A professional is way more subtle. They modify the logs. They go in and carefully remove only the specific lines that show what they did. Their tracks vanish, but the log itself looks fine, which makes detecting them incredibly difficult. And finally, the last step is to wipe away every single footprint. This means getting rid of all the files, all the scripts, all the tools you used during the attack. The goal is to leave the system looking exactly the way you found it, with zero evidence that a compromise ever even happened. And this leaves us with a pretty chilling thought. We've just walked through how a skilled attacker can get in, steal exactly what they want, and then just vanish. It really brings up a fundamental question for anyone who works in cybersecurity. If the best intruders are ghosts, how can you ever be sure they aren't already inside?